this, you know, friendship between me and Maurice have went back about 1979. You know, since was, you know, kid and amateur coming up, fight 2 amateurs together and 2 pro together. I could even remember when we used to share the same bed as a pro, and he sleep his head down. I sleep his head up. You know, and you know, we used to do everything together.
At one time, these 2 fighters shared the same management and the same trainer. Even their rise to their respective titles was similar.
I think things were so similar because we was together. And you can't help but be similar if you're together coming up.
Brown lost to Marlon Sterling in his first title attempt. He used that experience to win the IBF version of the championship. Blocker lost his first bid for a world championship against Lloyd Huntington. He too rebounded to win his crown, decisioning Marlon Sterling. This victory was twice as nice for Maurice. He captured the WBC title and avenged his friend's defeat.
He's a great champion, and so am I. And this guy been wanting to unify the title for a long time, while I was still climbing the charts and still trying to do my thing to prove that I was a qualified champion. And he never had the opportunity to unify the title. And I think it's a pleasure and an honor, you know, to fight somebody with his status in the ring, and it's going to be a great fight.
Brown, 33 victories and only 1 defeat. Blocker, 32 victories and only 1 defeat. The IBF welterweight champion. The WBC welterweight champion. 2 men who will put their friendship aside for 12 rounds or less.
We have a fight plan, and I know Maurice got a fight plan. I mean, you know, since I've been a champ, we haven't been sparring at all since then. So I know that we are both have learned a lot, you know, since we both have been a champ and have been sparring together. So, you know, it's some things that we'll know, even though we know each other real good, but it's still some things that we'll learn since we've been a champ that the other one may not know.
Neither one of us is going to take this personal. I mean, this is not a personal thing. This is a competitive sport. I think we got 2 great champions, and they're going to try their skills at each other. And we're just going to do our best on the 18th.
Harder for me to make the money that I want to make. You know, it's something I have to go against my best buddy to fight, you know, because the other guys didn't want to fight. You know, so I said, wow, you know. And it's something that run across my mind quite a few times. But I think I'm old enough to understand. And first of all, number one, I just leave it in God's hand. And hopefully that I will come out a champion still, and, you know, hopefully he will be not hurt, that he'll be able to go home with his family, you know, and I'm the same way. I'm not hurt, I'll be able to go home with my family. You know, I just leave it in God's hand, and he'll take it from there.
It is indeed a very unusual situation for both fighters, and everyone agrees because of their relationship, this will be a very emotional fight for them. And just to show you how close these 2 really are, as you saw, they showed up to do the interview both wearing the same sweatshirts. But now everything turns serious from their friendship, and they will be tested for 12 rounds. Once again, let's rejoin Steve and Ferdy.
All right, thanks very much, Jim. Brown and Blocker are putting their close friendship aside temporarily to lock the living daylights out of one another. After all, what are friends for? But this has the ingredients to be a solid matchup.
It does, depending on whether they know each other so well from the gym that it turns out to be boring, or if they go at each other. I remember Muhammad Ali had to fight his childhood friend from Louisville, Jimmy Ellis, who also had been the heavyweight champion. Boy, there was no law of loss during the fight, and Ali even knocked him out with 10 seconds left in the last round. Didn't even give him a pass till the end. So when friends get together inside that circle, it can go one of 2 ways. They either know each other and it's so well that it becomes boring, or they just suspend all friendship and they go at each other. And that's what I think we're going to have. We're not only fighting for the championship, but the championship of the neighborhood. They're unifying their championship, but what they want to know is which house has the champion.
What I want to know, does this philosophy work with broadcasters as well? Close friends, take the headsets
You have
off,
brothers.
Go into the ring. Let's go to the tail of the tape. Couple of guys who have had some pretty good gym wars. The numerical breakdown, Brown at 26, a year younger than Blocker, a 3-inch height advantage for the thin man, as they call him, Blocker. The weight to almost even, nearly a 5-inch reach advantage for Blocker. And the rules for this World Championship bout. The 10-point must system is in effect. 3 judges scoring the fight. No standing 8 count. No 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. And a fighter cannot be saved by the bell except in the final round. Round blocker for the IBF WBC Unification Welterweight title. Up we go to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout coming your way is one of our featured events scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing as we present the IBF WBC World Welterweight Unification Championship. This bout is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation, the President, Robert Lee, Supervisor, Walter Stone, along with the World Boxing Council President, Jose Sulaiman, and the Supervisor, Spider Bynum. Introducing the officials as appointed. Judging at ringside, we have Frank Brunette, Patricia Jarman, Lou Filippo, and the referee in charge of this bout, Mills Lane. Fight fans, here we go. 12-round World Welterweight Unification Championship. Introducing to you first on my right, fighting out of the blue corner. He enters the ring wearing white trunks and hailing from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. His weight this evening was a ready 146 pounds, with a fine record of 32 wins, only 1 loss, with 18 wins by way of knockout. He is the WBC welterweight champion of the world, known as the Thin Man, Maurice Blocker. And his opponent across the ring. On my left, fighting out of the red corner in this 12-round championship bout. He is wearing black trunks, and he is fighting out of Germantown, Maryland. His weight this evening, 147 pounds. His outstanding record, 33 wins, only 1 loss, with 25 big wins by way of knockout. He is the IBF welterweight champion of the world, Simon Brown. Once again, here's your referee in charge, Mills Lane.
Anyone? All right, come here. All right, now we've already gone through the instruction in the dressing room 1 time. You've had to protect yourself at all times. Any questions over here? Any questions over here? Let's get it on. Come on.
Here we go, round 1, scheduled for 12. The unification title. A wild left there by Simon Brown to get things going.
But not before he got clocked by Blocker. Blocker landed a nice hook. Simon's trying to come back with something of his own. I tell you what, both those punches had a lot of steam, Simon's and Blocker's.
Simon Brown in the black trunks, Maurice Blocker in the white trunks. Best friends since 16 years of age. 5 years ago, they said they would never fight each other. 5 years have passed. Now they have temporarily put their friendship aside. Both come from the same boxing stable. They had the same manager, the same trainer, the same promoter until recently. They were at each other's weddings. They've gone out on family outings together, and they've done just about everything together. And they say we never thought we'd actually fight each other.
Well, now they're fighting together. And right now it's Simon stalking and Blocker fighting as a counter puncher. Letting Simon Brown come on with hooks. Right now, neither one of them using a jab effectively. They're trying to load up on punches. They've got to relax a little bit and get into their fighting plan.
Brown in the black trunks asks himself, what am I doing this for? Why am I fighting my best friend? Well, money might be one of the reasons.
I think that may be the only reason.
A lot of chatter from the corners. The thin man, Maurice Blocker, in the white, is the WBC welterweight champ. Simon Brown of the black trunks, the IBF champ. Brown's nickname is Montekia. His last fight, a first-round knockout of Ozzie O'Neill, December 8th. And Maurice Blocker's last fight, a decision over Marlon Starling in August of 1990 for the WBC title. This is his first fight since winning the title. And ironically, Ferdy, that victory by Blocker avenged the loss of his pal, Simon Brown, who is fighting tonight. Because the Brown lost to Starling.
Mills Lane right in control of the fight from the opening bell, so don't grab him behind the head. Right now, the jab of Blocker is doing a job on Simon. Simon keeps coming on. Simon Brown coming on, but the jab and the hooks of Blocker are landing much more effectively.
Simon Brown, a quick and powerful, natural welterweight, has not received the publicity of a Meldrick Taylor, for example, or a Hector Camacho, Greg Haugen, or Pernell Whitaker. But he is ballyhooed in the world of boxing as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters.
Many people say if it wasn't for Chavez, he would be considered the best. That's a load of praise. Let's see what tonight brings.
Brown's only defeat, a split decision to Marlon Starling. As the first round comes to an end.
What are you doing? Give me nice and warm. What are you doing? I got it. What are you doing? Yo. What are you doing? Come on, baby. Play with him.
This is the voice of Emil Griffin,
No.
the welter and middleweight champion. He's disgusted with Simon Brown. Let's
his
listen.
chest or his belly. Okay? Slip and slide and move the jab at his chest or his belly. When you do this, punch. Don't do this and don't punch.
That left hand popping. You got him lunging now. Keep that jab and feint. Lunge just gets with his collar shot.
In the corner.
Round 2 scheduled for 12. A much calmer scene in the Blocker corner, led by the legendary Eddie Futch. Blocker surrounds himself, interestingly, with heavyweight boxing people. He's promoted by Butch Lewis, managed by Michael Spinks. His trainer is Eddie Futch.
All big names. Yeah, they should be satisfied. He took that first round by boxing superbly, putting a jab in Simon Brown's face and keeping him off when he came in. Emil Griffin, the voice you heard, was correct in saying, hey, punch when you come in.
Griffith, five-time world champion. We mentioned Brown's lone defeat. Blocker's only loss, a 12-round decision to Lloyd Hunnigan for the WBC crown in 1987. Mills Lane, who always has control. District attorney from Reno, Nevada.
Well, he's now a judge. He's now the district judge, a prestigious legal position.
I must have missed that election. Combination by Maurice Blocker.
Blocker's just busier than Simon Brown. He's just scoring points. Simon looks like he's waiting to load up, but just as soon as he gets in range, the superior boxing skill of Blocker ties him up. Excellent boxing by Blocker.
Brown is the stronger of the two, but Maurice Blocker using finesse and so far having the upper hand.
Wonderful exhibition of jabbing and hooking off the jab by Blocker. He's busy.
The screaming in the background is from Michael Spinks and Butch Lewis, who handle Maurice Blocker.
Well, you get the feeling that Brown is looking to really get down to serious punching here, and he's just waiting for this guy to wear out of all this little dibby-dab punching, but that little punching is winning him the round.
There's a right by Simon Brown.
That's what he wants. He wants to end this on a knockout.
And Blocker comes back with a combination. So things really heating up now.
Two of the best welterweights in the world, and it's a beautiful boxing exhibition against a determined Simon Brown. It looks like Brown is just waiting his time to land a haymaker in there and turn this around.
And round 2 coming to a conclusion. And that'll do it. A late punch by Simon Brown, but it made no contact. 2 rounds complete. Here at the Mirage, let's go to Suzette Charles, who is ringside.
I'm sitting here ringside with the trainer Pepe Correa, who trained both Simon Brown and Maurice Blocker when they were teenagers. Tell me what your feelings are about the fight at this point.
Well, at this point, well, it breaks my heart to see him fight, but I tell you, right now, I see Simon begin to walk through Maurice's punches. At first, I thought it would be a 50-50 fight, but it's not working that way. Simon's beginning to walk through his punches. However, he's walking through, but he keeps dropping his right hand, and Maurice is connecting with that left hook, so we don't know what's going to happen right now. I have to watch a couple more rounds to let you know.
Who do you think will win?
Right now, 60-40, I'm going to lean toward Brown. It was 50-50, but I'm going 60-40 towards Brown. He's walking through Maurice's punches.
Thank you very much. Pepe Correa, back to Steve.
All right, thank you, Suzette. Round 3 scheduled for 12 for the unification of the WBC and IBF welterweight titles. Boy, I tell you what, they're best friends outside of the ring, but they fight as if they're enemies.
Well, as Correa just said, Brown has been looking to unload with serious punches. He's been getting outpointed in the first 2 rounds, but he is beginning to walk through these punches. That's what I meant when I said he's looking for that haymaker, for that solid punch. And he opened this round with a series of stiff jabs, as if to say, you're not the only guy that can jab. I'm going to get into that with you. So Brown looks like he's coming on, but he is faced with a good boxer in Maurice Blocker.
There's a right by Simon Brown, followed up by a left that rocks Maurice Blocker, the punch of the fight.
Step back. Come on.
That's that haymaker we said he's waiting for. He landed it.
So Simon Brown coming back. Brown says, hey, they beat on each other for free for 6 years. We might as well get paid for it now.
Come on.
And the two are earning their money. Now Brown going to the body with uppercuts.
As it so often does, that one strong punch turned it around. Blocker now fighting a little bit more fearfully and more carefully than he was before.
Blocker on the defensive. Will Simon Brown look to clean up on his good buddy Maurice Blocker here?
You can bet when you're inside there is no good buddy. I mean, if you can get him out, you're more merciful to get him out fast.
There's a combination to the head by Blocker. A good bounce back.
The difference is not much on Blocker's punches, whereas it's everything on Simon Brown's punches. Whereas before, Blocker for the first 2 rounds was outspeeding him, and just the quantity of punches were winning the round for him. Now Brown is landing hard punches, and the effectiveness of Blocker's punches have now gone out. Steam's gone out.
Maybe it just took a little while for Brown to get warmed up. And it is cold here. Temperature, I would say right now, in the high 50s. And it's windy. There's a right by Simon Brown that got a piece of Blocker's face.
Brown has got what Tyson calls evil intentions. He has got a determined looking face, and his punches are sharp and hard.
Simon Brown has turned this thing around. There's a miss by Blocker. Now Brown going to the jab. Oh, a hard left by Simon Brown that stunned Maurice Blocker. Final seconds, round 3. Blocker looking to capitalize, but Brown covering up. 3 rounds in the books.
Go back to boxing. I know you're all right. Go back to boxing. You're smart with that. You ain't got to be in there fighting like that. Box this man. Use your reach. When you turn that man right there, he's wide open for you to make him pay. You turn that man, keep taking him in that circle.
Stop backing up straight back. Go off to the side. He's waiting for you to pull back so he can throw the left hook, okay?
Let's take a look at that punch. which changed the complexion of this fight around. He's starting to get, you see that combination? There were 2 punches there that start to change Blocker's mind about this whole thing. I mean, up to this point, he was bipping and bopping him very beautifully, and all of a sudden, that good right hand that Simon Brown threw caught his attention right there, almost behind the ear, and then a left. And look at the effect of that left hook behind it. Well, that's the kind of thing that turns fights around. Let's see if Blocker can recover and go back to his beautiful boxing.
This is round 4, and a quick left by Simon Brown.
Series of unanswered punches. In his corner, he was told by Eddie Futch, you don't need to fight with this guy. Go back to that beautiful boxing. Let's see if he can.
That's what he did over the first couple of rounds, and it was effective. But Simon Brown seems to be in tune right now.
Yeah, his engine's running. I mean, he is looking at golden pastures here.
Brown looking very confident. Stalking his friend Maurice Blocker. Solid right by Blocker. Uppercut by Blocker that got through.
Well, Blocker's landing 2-3 punches and then moving away before Simon Brown can get started. So Simon better initiate the action and not wait to counterpunch because Blocker's not there when the party's over. Good right hand by Simon Brown.
A thunderous right delivered by Simon Brown. And the combination by Brown, he lands with another right. Blocker showing he's got a good chin. There's a nifty right uppercut by Brown. A left by Brown. And then Blocker comes back with a left of his own. Now a combination by Blocker. Oh, are they opening up? Airing it out. Unbelievable. Furious exchange.
Those are 2 guys not boxing. They're fighting.
It has turned into a total slugfest.
And that's hard to judge. Simon Brown, more effective punches, but Blocker, better boxing and more number of punches. It just doesn't look like Blocker has the strength of Simon Brown. The punches are completely different. In spite of the furious pace of this round, both men unmarked. No swellings, no lumps, nothing. Just looks like they're just starting the first round. They're completely fresh. Oh, nice hammering right hand by Simon Brown.
Oh, a low blow by Blocker. And a hard left by Brown. Boy, he answered back.
I don't know how much more of this kind of punishment Blocker can take before he starts to really slow down. That's major punishment that Simon inflicted in that round.
What a round.
Don't give this man this fight. Don't give this man this fight, Simon. You get close. Keep digging, Simon. You get him. You the jab with your close shot. Don't be in a hurry. Head on shoulder, and drop the right hand and poke your body like we've been doing in the gym. You gotta be in there.
Griffin wants toe-to-toe. Well, this is what he wants. This is what Emil Griffith wants. Stand there and trade with Blocker. Now watch the difference. Blocker, more punches. Simon, stronger punches. Hard to judge this toe-to-toe action, but it is brisk when 2 incredibly good welterweights are just laying it out.
Where's the mouthpiece?
I didn't take it out.
Where's the mouthpiece?
Here, I got it.
Round 5 scheduled for 12. Let's see if they can pick up where they left off that frenetic exchange in the 4th round.
Well, on my card unofficially, I have it dead even right now. Blocker taking those first 2 rounds boxing beautifully, and then Simon beginning to unload with the hard stuff and walking right through Blocker.
And neither seems to be the worse for wear despite the punishment they're dishing out.
I think the cumulative effect of punches has to be greater on Blocker, who is taking some very hard right hands and left hooks to the head by Simon Brown, who's a much harder puncher.
Oh, right by Blocker. That Brown walked right into, and Brown comes back with a left.
Whoa.
A wild miss by Brown.
Oh, these guys are going for a home run. They're trying to bat for home runs here.
Come on, let's get back. Here we go, come on.
Mills Lane with his work cut out.
Yes, Simon wants to punch. Blocker, once he lands 3 or 4 shots, ties him up. And it's up to Mills Lane to come in here and get this action started again. You've seen a lot of cute tricks of boxing here by Maurice Blocker. He's holding behind the head, he's spinning. He's giving him all kind of angles. Now, Simon Brown is giving him the laces, hitting on the break. Everything is happening in this fight. This is not friendly.
Brown looking to end it with one punch. Oh, what an uppercut by Brown. He almost ended it there, but Blocker stays on his feet.
I think that's the first sign I've seen of Blocker weakening. His legs did a number after that second uppercut.
But Blocker showing tremendous heart. Hang it in there. There is some blood around the eye of Blocker now. Another shot by Brown. A right cross.
I don't know how much more this Blocker can take. He's getting hammered. The mouthpiece of Maurice Blocker flew out with one of those uppercuts.
Brown looking to put an end to things here in the 5th round, but Blocker won't go down. And a right by Blocker that connected.
What a hard-on Blocker. He's fighting back as hard as he can.
He won't go down against his friend. Simon Brown. Now Mills Lane wants to get the mouthpiece back to Blocker.
Come on, come on.
At a pause in the action, he gets that mouthpiece in. That's a good piece of work by Mills Lane, because the kind of hammering he's taking, he can lose some teeth.
Final seconds of round 5, and that'll do it.
Let's sit back. Sit back, man.
Take care of it. It's a couple cuts.
You do all right. You do all right. Yeah, and it works.
Stop. And you're stepping straight back. You gotta step up the side all the time. Never straight back. He's waiting for you. He's waiting. And when you step out, he throws that right hand. Lean over here. Go out low or go out with your hands
The
up.
damage here was done by that hammering uppercut that Simon Brown threw. Look at that. Lifted his head right up. Another one lifted his head right up. That's enough to knock out anybody. Followed by hooks, and devastation is on the way. The face of Maurice Blocker showing it by a cut, and no question about it, Simon Brown has taken command.
Here we go, round 6, scheduled for 12 for the unification of the WBC and IBF welterweight championships. And it has been war between these two close friends, Brown and Blocker.
What you got to admire about Maurice Blocker, not only is he a fine fighter, but the heart on him. He got hammered enough to just hold or run, and he just stood there and traded with him, knowing the danger that represented for him. He should have just grabbed him and held on, but boy, there's a lot of heat up here in this ring.
And there's probably nothing each one does not know about the other.
Well, right now, Blocker knows that Simon Brown can punch harder than he can.
Well, I'm sure he knew that coming in, but able to withstand the pressure dished out by Brown.
Not much on the punches of Maurice Blocker. He's still throwing them, but there's no zip and no zing to it.
So let's see if Brown can capitalize. A wild miss by Brown. There's a left by Brown that tagged Blocker. Blocker showing tremendous courage.
That cut on the brow will be a factor by Blocker. It's well controlled. Oh, a nice hook right off the chin of Blocker. Simon Brown throws a hook with a devastation in mind.
There's a right by Maurice Blocker, the thin man with the spindly legs hanging tough against the much stronger Simon Brown.
The problem is that he lands the punches. They do nothing to dissuade Simon Brown from coming in with his hard series of punches. There's nothing on the punches of Maurice Blocker right now.
Come on, get him out, Chino, punch you.
Those inside punches by Blocker having no impact.
Simon seeming to have gone to sleep this round. He's not. Oh, that was a winging fight punch, but it didn't land solidly. It was a winging punch by Simon that drew an ooh and an ah from the crowd, but it didn't land. Actually, he is not very active compared to what he was in the last 2 rounds, Simon Brown.
Under 30 seconds, round 6. I guess they had to take somewhat of a break after what happened in the previous round. Combination by Blocker, but Brown covering up.
Punch out, 2 hands to feet. Come on, punch out.
Wild miss again by Brown as we head for the bell.
All right, 1 step back. Come on. Hey, time.
Coming up after this bout, 5-time world champion Julio Cesar Chavez making final preparations in his dressing room, getting set for the WBC Super Lightweight and IBF Junior Welterweight Championships. He is an incredible 73-0, 60 knockouts. He'll face 5th-ranked John Super D. Duplessis, tough kid from the main streets of New Orleans. And there he is, another legend, Julio Cesar Chavez. 5 separate titles to his credit. Tremendous record. And he's done that in 3 separate weight classes.
No question, the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world in my estimation. And he is a legend at the top of his form.
Meanwhile, round 7 of a scheduled 12-rounder. Action-packed. Maurice Blocker dictated the pace with some good boxing skills over the first couple of rounds, and Simon Brown came around and tried to lower the boom and end this with 1 punch. And a couple of rounds ago, we saw frenetic exchanges, very entertaining to the big crowd here at the Mirage.
Well, he took 3 rounds in a row, did Brown, and then all of a sudden, curiously, went to sleep this last round and let Blocker punch in bunches and tie him up, and technically he won that round. So you know what? We got an even fight. It's 56 to 56. If you weren't scoring, just looking at it, you'd say Simon Brown is just working up on Blocker. But if you scored him round by round, that last one belonged to Blocker. A lot of different punches, even though they're pity-pat, and then he ties them up. That was a good example. We just saw it then.
Brown in the black trunks, Blocker in the white. Brown mentions a possible future opponent someday for Julio Cesar Chavez, who we just saw getting ready for his fight next. Those punches not having much steam by Blocker.
But he's punching, and Simon's not. That was the history of the last round. Good right hand. Good, strong right hand, but 1 punch doesn't the round make. Simon's got to go back to that active style that he had for those middle 3 rounds there, 3, 4, and 5.
Midway through the 7.
Very little action, and all the punching is being done by Blocker. It's as if Simon is saying, well, that doesn't hurt me. I'm just waiting till I can land a real good shot, but he blows the points that way.
Blocker accumulating the points, but Brown looking for that one big opening to end it.
Well, he's going to get hollered at by Griffith. I'd like to hear what Griffith says.
This is Brown's 8th title defense. Coming in, arguably, the best of the welterweight champions. For Blocker, his first fight since winning the WBC title.
Blocker fighting purely a defensive fight. He's not fighting to knock out Simon. He's fighting to keep him getting knocked out, but he's not getting hit in the meantime. I mean, 1 or 2 punches that Simon Brown lands is not enough to take a round. So an ineffective round like this still is a big round.
Well, Maurice Blocker's manager, the former light heavyweight and heavyweight champion Michael Spinks, is going to have laryngitis at the end of this night. He has been screaming from the Blocker corner. Here's what it sounded like the last round.
Time up! He waiting for a turn, Reese. Don't give him none. Time up! He waiting for a turn. Don't give him nothing. Hands up! Stick! Steal him on! Steal stuff!
The other voice was from Butch Lewis, his promoter. Michael Spinks showing good lateral movement in that sequence.
Break that round. Okay? Time up. Box him. Time up. Move.
We have made it all the way to round 8, scheduled for 12. Steve Albert, the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, ringside with Jim Hill and Suzette Charles at the Mirage in Las Vegas. This is to unify the WBC and IBF welterweight championships. 2 close friends, Simon Brown in the black trunks, Maurice Blocker in the white. And it has been a good one.
Well, Simon better get himself back in this fight, or else Blocker will do what Michael Spinks did so many fights. He just kind of sneaks you out, wins each round, and therefore he became the heavyweight champion of the world by doing this to home twice. I mean, you know, this is the kind of Michael Spinks fight. Technically, he pops, grabs you, gives you no angles, doesn't go straight back. Look at this. Move, grab him behind the head. Look at this. All Michael Spinks stuff.
Good strategy being employed by Maurice Blocker. He knows that one punch by Brown could end it. But in the meantime, he is picking up points with some swift boxing tactics.
Well, this is the kind of fight that if Blocker won on points, there would be loud booing. But you know what? Slowly but surely, I mean, he wins these rounds. You got to give it to him. Simon is just not doing anything.
Simon Brown out of Clarendon, Jamaica, lives in Germantown, Maryland. Blocker in nearby Washington, D.C. Past the halfway point of round 8. Blocker 32-1 with 18 knockouts. Brown 33-1 with 25 knockouts. They are almost mirror images as far as their records are concerned.
What happened to that great uppercut? What happened to Simon Brown's great uppercut? He just forgot about it. It had almost caused devastation and ruin to Blocker, and he hasn't thrown it.
Well, Ferdy, their records may be similar, but as we have seen through almost 8 rounds, their styles are totally different.
Totally different. One guy's a banger that wants to come in and fight, and the other guy is a technical fight. Ooh, nice right hand, but it missed by Blocker. Good idea, just didn't land.
Now Brown looking to chase Blocker around the ring.
But while he's chasing, he's eating jabs. You can't just give it for aggression. Aggression that has nothing at the end of it is a waste of time.
Brown has to be getting frustrated.
Let him go.
Blocker continues to elude Brown's arsenal.
And while he's eluding, he's popping the jab. He's not just running, he's jabbing. Now here's where Simon should step in, but he let him go. He should step in right there and go two-handed to the body.
And another wild miss by Brown as the bell sounds to end round 8. We're at the beautiful and luxurious Mirage Hotel, the outdoor arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Capacity 15,800. Coming up to the main event between Mike Tyson and Razor Ruddock. Steve Albert, the fight doctor, Freddie Pacheco.
He holding you with one hand, punch with the other. When you get close, family, move the hands. Don't be in a hurry to punch. Take your time, get position, dig it to your body, dig it to your body. Dig it to your body hard. What are you looking for?
You understand there's two cases. You could be using his head on it there. You stay outside and use your left hand. Keep that man at bay. You find yourself there, you walk him out there.
Don't stay on the inside with him, so he's doing uppercut on him. Okay.
Round 9 scheduled for 12. How did that cut look over the...
It looks very well taken care of by Jim Strickland. He's doing an excellent job. It hasn't opened up anymore. It has not become a factor. And, of course, what the corner told him is what he really must do. Keep the movement, keep the jab going. Don't let him stop and punch with you. It may not be the most exciting fight doing that, but it is what's got him slightly ahead now. Blocker, I'm speaking of.
Yeah, the cut over the lower brow of Maurice Blocker in the white trunks. Again, Brown trying to penetrate with a heavy left, but not having the kind of impact he would like.
Emil Griffin instructions were go to the body. Get him down from the bicycle, but you can't hit the body when a guy is on a bicycle running like that. You've got to cut him off and fight with him on the ropes. You've got to trap him in the corner. Simon Brown is not doing that.
And Blocker playing a little tune on the head of Simon Brown.
Simon Brown better get on track. It's been a long 3 rounds since the 5th. And he needs to have a good round to get back in this fight. Once again, let me say, as we've both experienced on so many nights, when it's a tough fight like this to score, God only knows how judges are looking at it. But Blocker is doing an exceptional job of defensive fighting.
Yes, we have seen some adventurous nights in the scoring category. It's a cool, blustery night here in Las Vegas. Not affecting these guys. Simon Brown with a hard left.
Like the first good punch that he's landed, and look, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punches came back.
Brother. Maurice Blocker snapping Brown's head back with one of those punches.
See, he punches and bunches and then moves away. That's pure Michael Spinks. And if he gets too close, he ties him up. That way you can win an awful lot of rounds. And I think what's happening is he's frustrating Simon Brown an awful lot.
I think Blocker is fighting a brilliant tactical fight here. Stick and move. He knows he can be out-muscled by his friend Simon Brown, but he's compensating.
Well, Simon Brown just gave him the laces, and then he hit him on the break. Not too nice for neighbor.
So much for close friends. Less than 20 seconds in round 9. Earlier we saw Irish Pat Lawler stop Roberto Duran in the 6th round as Duran hurt his shoulder. And a shot by Brown at the bell. And we are through 9 rounds. Some of the celebrities on hand. That looks like Jack Nicholson. Yes, turn around, Jack. There's the Joker. Kevin Costner dancing with wolves. He knows where the camera is. Always a star-studded crowd at a big fight night.
You box this man.
You let him bring his strength in the face. See? You get off the rope fast or tie him up. Don't fight him when you're on the rope. But every time you crucial combination when you're back, it's toward the center of the ring. Jab and move, make him miss.
This is the kind of action that's winning these rounds for Blocker. It's that flurry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 we didn't see, but they were there.
And we've hit double figures. Round 10 scheduled for 12 for the unification.
And let me tell you, it's getting dangerous for Simon.
Yes.
Simon might have evened out that last round. If it was an even round, they're ahead 86-84 is Blocker. Now Simon is stepping up the gas.
Brown showing some urgency here.
He has to. He has to fight like this.
Sensing perhaps that he is behind on points. You never know what goes on. There he goes! Blocker is down! And Brown wants more!
He is deeply hurt. He might get up, but he's going to be in terrible shape.
He got up on 8.
No. That may not. A lot of time. Simon being too close gave him a lot of time extra.
And a lot of time left in the 10th round, 2 minutes.
Well, friendship is flying out the window.
That knockdown came with about 50 seconds into round 10. And now Brown's stalking Blocker and trying to end it here in the 10th. Can Blocker hold on?
Well, we can only depend on the kindness of Mills if this really gets tough, because Simon has got evil intention in his eyes. He wants this knockout and he needs it.
Hard punches to the body by Simon Brown, being covered by Blocker. If these guys are friends, I'd hate to see them fight if they were enemies. A slapping right by Brown. And there is still all kinds of time remaining.
Well, Simon has got a minute, and that's an awful world of time when you're pressing a guy that's hurt. He's got to press. He's got to get him out of here. He's got to clean this up.
There's a left and a right. Another combination by Brown.
Let him fall. That's it. Mills Lane. The kindness of Mills Lane has stopped this fight. Simon Brown wins.
And it is all over. Blocker looked over at Mills Lane, and he said, I agree.
Of course.
Meanwhile, Simon Brown wants to get in there and console his friend.
Yeah, that was a very, very tough round that Simon Brown scored an early knockdown, and it was too much time left for Blocker to be able to recover. The question was, could he get to him before the bell? And of course he could. And it was the good judgment and sensibleness of Mills Lane that stopped and gave the victory to Simon without having to belabor and possibly hurt Maurice Blocker, his good friend.
Outstanding action-packed fight.
Please put over there. All right, Tom. All right.
Simon Brown stopping his friend Maurice Blocker here in round number 10. Pepe Correa saying it's over. This had to be mentally exhausting for Brown and Blocker.
Both fighters have to go home and hope they never have to look at this tape again, because it was a tough night for both men emotionally. Let us take a look at what got Blocker in such trouble right at the beginning of the round, and that was his problem. He got stopped too early. That right hand was hard, but the hook was devastating. Down goes Blocker. He's lucky he got up. I mean, truthfully, he's lucky he got up. It's surprising.
Look at Brown, though.
Surprising to see the reaction of Simon Brown to come right on top of his best friend like that. Surprising.
How about Simon Brown's reaction? He wanted to get more of his friend Blocker.
Well, as you can see, there was almost no point in letting it go beyond that, because that was a resounding knockdown. It was just the courage of Blocker that got him up. Of course, it is a championship fight, and he has to let him continue. But let's take a look at that knockdown again. It was just a wonderful left hook right on the button. I mean, you just don't get hit that hard and not go down by a puncher of the devastating quality of Simon. Simon Brown can bunch, and his aggressiveness is such that he just hovered over him. Let's take a look at an overhand shot. Whoa. These punches that Blocker is throwing are so hard. Look at this left hook. Just a perfect left hook. Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes of Maurice Blocker. He almost senseless. He doesn't quite see, but there's someone over him, and it's blurred, and he gets up. What a finish for an exciting fight.
Gentlemen, we have the time, 2 minutes, 10 seconds in round number 10. The referee in charge, Mills Lane, stops the contest. The winner by way of technical knockout, the IBF and the new WBC welterweight champion of the world, Simon Brown.
in what had to be a painful experience. Mentally exhausting for Simon Brown, physically for Maurice Blocker. And Simon Brown unifies the welterweight title. He is now both the IBF and WBC welterweight champion. Meldrick Taylor, the WBA champ, is in the crowd here tonight. Everybody aware of the story here. You even saw Mills Lane hugging Maurice Blocker. Let's take some more looks at the end of the fight.
Well, with a minute left to go, you could sense that Blocker knew, I got to get this thing finished right now. He pressed the attack. Look, take a look at Mills Lane. I mean, there's a guy ready to charge in, and he does. And it was justified. Cannot argue with that. Let's take another view, and you can see that these shots were beginning to score right on the button. That's too much punishment to ask a guy to take. That shot right there was supposed to be the last punch of this fight. You don't ask a man to take much more than that.
It'll be very interesting to hear the post-fight comments between these two young men.
He's talking to Suleiman and Don King right now. Suleiman from the WBC giving him his belt and telling him he is now the WBC champion as well. He's unified the title. Don King between them.
Great fight. I love you, man.
Maurice Blocker has to relinquish the WBC belt. Hugs all around for the victorious Simon Brown, but Blocker showing a lot of heart. Here at the Mirage in Las Vegas, Nevada, we just saw a dilly. Let's go back up to Jim Hill.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much. And our exciting evening of boxing continues, because coming up next, Julio Cesar Chavez will defend both his world titles against John Super D Duplessis. Now, Chavez is an undefeated world champion and a national hero. And no matter what weight class he has campaigned in, he has been acknowledged as being the absolute best.